Hello, everyone. It's the weekend. It's Little Dan. I've got my main guy, Lukey T, with me. And yeah, it's the weekend. Premier League's back. Arsenal Brentford playing right now. We've got Leicester tomorrow and the weekend starts here. Luke, how you doing?
I'm all right, mate. Like you said, it's the weekend. You got to be happy on a Friday, ain't you? If you can't be happy on a Friday, then when the fuck can you be happy?
Are you on a bit of alcohol break at the moment? Is that right?
Yeah, I've got my squash here.
On the squash. It's rock and roll Fridays. You've got me on the water and you've got Luke on the squash. What's your thoughts so far going into the season on the back of the pre-season that we've had?
Do you know what? I've not tried to think too much about it. I've tried to have a little bit of a step back from thinking about football and Wolves too in depth over the summer because it just gets too much sometimes. Just consumes too much. So I'm just trying to be quite relaxed about it. Like pre-season, I try not to read too much into pre-season anyway, especially results in friendlies. Obviously, it would be nice if we had two or three new faces. Well, two or three more new faces on top of what we've got so far. But you know what? It is what it is, and it's a new season. It's a new start. It's a new start more so for us than then most other teams. We've got a new manager, new backroom staff. So let's just see what happens and let's just back the boys, man. Let's get behind them.
So in sort of the last hour or so, it has been confirmed that Patrick Cutrone has joined Empoli on loan. I think we all wanted him to do well. I don't know what the sort of the backroom relationship was with Cutrone, Nuno and the rest of the squad, but it just hasn't worked out for him. Do you think there's talk he was on sort of 60 plus grand a week. It is probably one of the biggest flops in our transfer history. What do you think on that?
I think there's a player in there. Maybe he's just not suited for English football. Maybe he's not settled in his personal life in England. You know, there might be more to it than that. And I think going back to Italy, I think it suits him and it suits us. Obviously, we need to get a replacement in for our sort of number 3 striker. But obviously Nuno they fancy him, and if Lager they fancy him as well, then what can we do? But I've just got a feeling that he just couldn't really settle in England more so than anything else.
I had this conversation with a guy at work today. You look at sort of the Italian strikers in Premier League history. There hasn't been many that have really took it by the.
Who you got? Zola, Vialli. They did well.
They didn't win the Premier League though, did they? I think the only Italian striker to win the Premier League is Mario Balotelli.
Bloody hell! But what did who was that? Federico Mercado, Italian. He played for Man United. He scored that wonder goal against Villa.
That's a good question. Yeah, he might have been, or he might have been like Spanish or something. But like, I wouldn't even class him as like an actual player. You know, like the Man United players in the 90s that probably played like one FA Cup game. We got Darren Ferguson. He only he was the manager's son.
But yeah, you're right. To be fair, I mean, because when you look at Italy, obviously the European champions at the moment, and they've always had a great history and great pedigree of strikers. Been some great Italian strikers over the years, and like even Crespo, he did all right for Chelsea, but he didn't. It wasn't the Crespo that we used to see in Serie A, was it?
No, there was some serious gunmen that came out of the Serie A in the 90s, the early 2000s. We've still got Rafa Mir on the books currently. Apparently, Wolves have stalled on the fee with Atletico Madrid. Do you think we've seen the last of him in a Wolves shirt, or could he force his way into contention for that second place behind Raul?
I mean, if he does, then fair play to him. But I think there's just been too much talk. There's too much talk about him moving. I think it's going to happen. Probably just dotting the I's and crossing the T's. But again, he's another one. I mean, you look at his loan spell at Forest. Poor. But then he went back to Spain and he did well. Maybe, again, he just can't really settle into the English game. And sometimes it happens, doesn't it? Well, say sometimes it happens quite a lot. But again, if he goes, that's fine. Every player is replaceable. We've just got to replace him. And that's, I wouldn't say it's a concern at the moment, but, you know, me and you had some conversations towards the back end of last season, especially when Nuno got sacked. And we was very much of the thinking of, over to you now, Folsom. And as of yet, I mean, what do you think? Would you say that they've delivered this window?
I think the jury's massively out still. Obviously, there's a few weeks to go, but it doesn't really matter. Wolves could sign a defender, midfielder, a striker tonight. You've still got to give them time to bed in. So
Yeah.
it is disappointing that they've left it this late. But they did say in that Ask Wolves series that the business would get done later on in the window. I think you've got to see how the next couple of weeks goes. You see the teams I'm playing around us and in Europe. They're sort of fringe players that you think might be starting every week. Maybe we try and poach them.
Yeah.
We saw like Torino, they're on about trying to sell Andrea Bellotti for £15 million. I mean, in today's market, if you're selling Rafa Mir for €15 million to Atletico Madrid, that's a striker that I'd be wanting to get in. But then that sort of contradicts what we've just said about Italian strikers in the Premier League. It's one of them situations. Thanks for those who are watching at the moment. Let's if you've got any opinions, drop them in the comment section below. Let us know whether you think we should keep Rafa Mir, try and sign a player like Andrea Bellotti, or just send players in who you think we should be looking at this window. We've got Leicester tomorrow. What's your sort of feelings on that so far? They've just announced the signing of Yannick Vestergaard. Do you think that was a defender we should have been in for?
Yeah, well, there's rumours that we was in for him, and I mean, I'm not a massive Vestergaard fan, but I think he would have improved us. And it's frustrating that he's gone to Leicester. I was talking to some Leicester fans the other day, and like Wesley Fofana got injured 7 days ago, and they've replaced him.
Yeah.
And we've needed a centre half for 4 windows now, and we still haven't got it in. And it's just so frustrating because you look at Leicester, and I think 12 months ago we were sort of not aspiring to be Leicester, but I don't think we was that far behind them. And now we seem worlds apart. And I think when you look at Leicester's recruitment, they've just got it nailed on at the minute. Absolutely nailed on.
You were on the Leicester Fan TV YouTube channel the other night discussing basically the game tomorrow, and that I think one of the questions they asked you was what was the one thing that you most admire about Leicester, and I think you nailed it on with recruitment, didn't you? Since that one season where they just avoided relegation, they've really stepped up, haven't they, with their recruitment?
I mean, you look, they brought in Mahrez. I think it was mentioned on our podcast when I was listening this morning. 500k, Kante. Probably pennies as well. They've brought in that Daka, who I think will be decent. Did they make 65 million on Harry Maguire?
You look at the players that they've sold in recent years: Harry Maguire, Mahrez, Kante, Chilwell, Danny Drinkwater went for big money to Chelsea. This is why I get frustrated when Wolves compare us to Leicester, because we haven't had that conveyor belt of departures, which is like bankrolled. The signings, which I mean, you can't knock their recruitment when they got Mahrez and Kante for the values that they did for those. And those players have gone on to be like, people still undervalue Riyad Mahrez for me. I think 100%. He's one of the best attacking players in Europe for me at the moment. Because there's De Bruyne and like Bernardo Silva and Foden in front of him, I don't think he gets the plaudits that he deserves for me.
I totally agree, mate. And to be fair, I've been one of those not doubters, but I don't think I never put as much respect on his name, but I watched a couple of games towards the end of last season, in the Champions League especially, and he was winning Champions League ties for him with his goals. And I just sat back and I said to myself, you know what, Luke? You know what I mean? You need to rate this guy because he's serious. Like, he's actually serious. And I think you're spot on where he doesn't get the recognition that he deserves because he's a serious player.
Obviously we've got Leicester tomorrow away, 3:00, kicking off the season. Premier League record against Leicester, it's not too bad, could be better. 8 games, 2 wins for each side and a few draws there. We haven't scored many goals past Leicester. I mean, we've scored 9 against them in the Premier League, and we scored 4 against them twice. Is that right?
Yeah, well, we scored 4 when Jota got a hat-trick, and we scored 4 when we was 3-0 down at half-time.
Yeah.
So to say we've only scored 1 in the next 6 games, freaking hell, that's quite bad to be fair, ain't it? That's quite bad.
If anyone watching, can anyone tell us who got that other goal against Leicester? Because obviously the 2 4-3s at home, that means we scored 1 other goal. Who was the other Wolves player that got that other goal? Because it's completely gone out of my head.
Yeah, I can't think.
Leicester have lost just one of their last 24 home league games against Wolves, going down 4-1 in May 2007, the Championship. Andy Keogh with a Panenka penalty that day, if anyone remembers that. Since Wolves returned to the Premier League in 2000, they failed to score in 5 of their 6 meetings, like we just said. The big games, the 4-3s, are just probably iconic games in Premier League history, especially for Wolves fans because of the way that we've won both games. The late Jota winner in 2019, coming back from 3-0 down in 2003-04. What's your sort of memories of those two games, Luke?
I remember them both. I didn't go. I didn't have a season ticket last time we was in the Prem because I was only a babby. I wore a babby. I was in college. I had no money. But I remember being 3-0 down at half time, and on Sky Sports News, it was like Wolves fans are already leaving the ground, and And what a turnaround, because we were shit then as well, wasn't we, in that Premier League campaign?
Unreal.
And like you said, that's got to be one of the most iconic Premier League games in Wolves' history. And then the second 4-3, it was one a game, but we almost threw it away, didn't we?
2-0.
Yeah, we was coasting as well. We was
2-0 up, 3-2 up. Wes Morgan scores late.
Yeah.
And then
Jota wins it.
Neves absolute diagonal, which Chilwell doesn't cut out. Jimenez squares it. It's just absolute scenes. Thinking back to that game now, Nuno on the pitch. Good times.
They're the sort of games that make you love football, though, ain't they?
I remember. Do you remember the old? Was it like Central ITV football games on a Sunday?
Yeah.
There was a game back in like the 90s, Port Vale versus QPR, and I think Port Vale was winning 4-0 and QPR brought it back to 4-1. And I'm thinking, wow, this is what football's about. And then thinking back now, Port Vale versus QPR, what an ugly tie to watch on a Sunday.
But that's what I sometimes like, especially with Super Sunday in the Premier League, and it'll be like, I don't know, Burnley against Watford, and everyone's like, fucking hell, what's that Super Sunday for, man? Burnley v Watford, who's going to want to watch that? But sometimes they're the best games to watch. How many games have you watched Man U, Liverpool, or Arsenal, Chelsea, and they've been absolutely terrible?
Evening Metallica UK in the comments. Hope you're having a nice weekend, Mr. Guy, so far. I hope you enjoyed that steak for breakfast. 1986 Wolf says he would love to see Mir have a go, but agree the Forest line was worrying. The thing that got into my mind is a lot of the time Wolves fans don't seem to think about it from a financial point of view, but the fact that he's scoring goals for fun at the moment, he's obviously full of confidence, Rafa Mir. Would it be really that bad from a financial point of view if we just let him go on a free in a year's time? Because we only spent £1.5 million on him.
Mm.
So from a financial point of view, it's not a massive loss. Obviously, it's good to recoup good money. But how many strikers do you know at the moment are scoring goals for fun and have obviously got bundles of confidence? He joined Wolves, I think it was in the January and under Nuno's first season. So he had Bonatini in front of him, who was probably on fire at the time. Cavallero, Jota, Costa was all doing well. I think then he came back from Forest, and I think he picked up an injury. He's never really had a proper pre-season behind him at Wolves, which obviously he hasn't now because he's been to the Olympics. But going back to what I just said, full of confidence, scoring for fun. Can we not just keep him until January, see if he's any cop, and then sell him for maybe 5 to 10 million in January?
I think, because we could take the risk, a £1.5 million risk.
Pedro Gonçalves, another player that was sold on a free, that's gone on to do big things. Have we not learned our lesson by letting players go out on a free?
But I mean, we could play Rafa Mir this season, and by January, you could have, let's say, 4 or 5 goals, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it will help the cause, and he could put in some good performances. And if he's enjoying his football here, then what's stopping us giving him a 2 or a 3 year deal? And then, assessing it again in the summer, and if he really wants to leave. But then we can we've still got that resale value. My only concern is if we've seen it out till January, is then you do miss out on that £15 million, don't you? And potential signing on fee as well. I mean, signing on. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's the one. That's the one, the sell on clause. So I think personally, I would say I'll take the money, but then I don't think I'll trust our recruitment team enough to invest it wisely enough.
It's a bit worrying,
difficult.
isn't it?
It's a difficult
You look at sort of previous windows, especially since that second transfer window in the Premier League. Obviously, we've signed Jimenez, Matinho, and Patricio in that first window. Johnny as well. The recruitment since that window has been
poor.
really bang average.
Poor.
Poor. I'll go with poor. I think I'm being complimentary by saying bang average.
I think
You
look at majority of Wolves fans. Sorry, but you look at majority of Wolves fans, and I'm not saying we're all football experts. Far from it. But we can see we've needed a centre back and a central midfielder for 2 seasons now. I would say 2 seasons, and it's not coming. You just think why? Why if 30,000 people can't be wrong? Because if you asked every Wolves fan who goes to the game next week at Tottenham, do we need a new centre back? I'd say 95% would say yes.
Yeah. Ever since Willy Bolly has become like, I think you called him Mr. Glass the other night, was it? Or
No, it wasn't. Somebody did.
no,
Somebody
he has become very injury prone, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. It's a concern. And then, like Stu mentioned on the podcast earlier, he's off to the African Cup of Nations in January.
As he says, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to be struggling.
We've got a new guy joining us now, Jack from Leicester Fan TV. Once it properly kicks in. How you doing, Jack?
Yeah, good boys. How are you? Luke?
Not bad. What do you
How
think
you
about
doing,
your new
Jack? You all
signing, Yannick Vestergaard?
Good. £15 million for a quite decent centre half in the Premier League. Vestergaard, he's good for set pieces and that. I think that's what we were looking at. Obviously, Fofana's injury did us no favours, did it? So we had to really go out and get a centre half, and 15 million for that is not really bad, to be honest. It's good business. 4 signings now, and Brendan hopes for more to come. So we'll see.
I was on Jack's channel on Wednesday, and he's just come on again. 4 signings already, and Brendan Rodgers is confident there's more to come. I feel like they're taking the piss, Dan. You know what I mean? They're just reeling off these signings, money man, and we're ruffling about in Aldi's middle aisle.
What's your thoughts on that, Jack? Because I get frustrated when Wolves fans compare us to Leicester, basically due to the fact that you've had Champions League, European football, you've won the league. We haven't had a conveyor belt of players like Mahrez, Chilwell, Maguire, Kante, who we've sold. Did you ever dream it would be this good as a Leicester fan?
No. Obviously, Wolves were higher than us at one point. They were like in and out of the Premier League. Leicester were like League One, Championship, in and out, playoffs every season. Since we've been in the Premier League, it's been quite a roller coaster, shall we put it. We've invested well. We've found some real gems transfer wise, and we've got a good transfer plan going forward, which every team would like from a Leicester point of view. Wolves have not done bad business themselves. Obviously, Raul Jimenez, he's done a good striker at Wolves. They brought Pedro Neto in, another fantastic winger. I think Wolves needed to upgrade after their first season. I don't feel they did that. Obviously, Nuno, like Luke said, he's a defensive sort of manager, and he never really changed in. I think that's what frustrated Wolves quite a lot, that things wasn't getting changed at the football club. You guys got new owners, didn't you, not long ago? Am I right?
Yeah, which pretty much led to us getting promoted and making our way into the Europa League. It was a quick ascendancy back to where we are now. It's just, I think, like you just said, after that first season in the Premier League, we've stood still from a recruitment point of view, haven't we? And it's massively frustrating the point you just made there about Nuno being a defensive coach. Yeah. He's not really worked with good defenders.
Well, this is it. I think you guys going for Europe and that season, obviously you did well, didn't you, in the first European League? I think he needed to upgrade then the season after the Europa League and that, but he never did. Keeping the same team and keeping Willy Bolly and Connor Cody from the Championship and that, I think defenders need to be changed, don't they, at some point? Wolves haven't done that. They've kept the same team for a while. Obviously, we've got Moutinho. He's dragging on a bit now. Ruben Neves, fantastic midfielder. Adama Traore, beast on the pitch. He's just not really good at crossing and scoring, is he? I just think Wolves need to upgrade massively, and the owner now needs to back the manager.
I agree. I think you're spot on, to be fair, with your assessment. And it just makes it even more frustrating for me that a Leicester fan can see that we haven't upgraded since our first season in the Premier League, but our owners or our ex-manager or whoever was making those decisions 2 and 3 years ago couldn't or just refused to. It's really frustrating.
Question from the comment section, Jack. With Man City, Man United, and Chelsea spending like it's going out of fashion, what's your season end goal?
I think it's about the unfinished business from 2 years ago. I think looking from a Leicester City perspective, we've missed out on Champions League 2 seasons in a row now on the last day of the season. Last season we're down to strength and depth, which we didn't have compared to the so-called bigger clubs. This season, we've gone in the market and thought, you know what, we're going to strengthen this season and we're going to get that goal, what we want at the end, and that's Champions League football. Whether you make it through winning the Europa League or getting top 4 this season, we'll take it either way as a Leicester City fan, as long as it's the goal achievement right at the end.
Were you one of the lucky few that got to go to the Wembley final in the summer?
Yeah. Fantastic goal by Yuri Tillemans on that. I just think, we've won so much now. We're not going to get too over thingy about it because you've still got to play games of football, haven't you? We're not going to live in the past like Arsenal, Man United and that. You've got a future to build, and that's what we're doing at Leicester City Football Club. We don't dwell on the past. We focus on the future in hand.
I think me and Luke have fawned over Yuri Tielemans a lot in the last sort of 18 months. Did you think he might have been cherry-picked in the summer after that goal in the final?
Yeah. Yuri was one of them who's been linked with Liverpool heavily, just like James Maddison's been linked with Arsenal, or is that Arsenal fans linking James Maddison with Arsenal, I just think Tielemans, a fantastic player that he is. He's a Champions League player. We thought it was going to be our last goodbyes this summer due to not making it, but I'm just glad he stayed. And he feels really happy here and wants to achieve with us.
What's your current sort of mindset with James Maddison? Obviously, we're big fans of him at the Fancast. I think there might have been a bit of background troubles with maybe a lockdown party that may have gone a bit naughty, but he's been linked to Arsenal. Surely he's too good for Arsenal in the current state of affairs in the Premier League.
Why would you want to downgrade at Arsenal?
Arsenal are the Liverpool under Kenny Dalglish and Roy Hodgson at the moment for me.
They're losing to Brentford.
They're losing to Brentford. I mean, that's Arsenal, isn't it?
Brentford 1-0 up.
Like I say, with Arsenal and Tottenham, they're only big on franchise. They're not big compared to what they are now in the league and how they're playing the football and what they're doing, building for the future. Arsenal have been struggling. So if Tottenham, if Kane leaves this summer, I think I'll be at Tottenham. Nuno's going to struggle to find another striker like Harry Kane. Maddison ain't going to downgrade to Arsenal. We're a bigger club than Arsenal at the minute. Maybe not franchise-wise and money sort of era, but we are building as a football club. We're bigger Leicester City now. We're not little Leicester anymore who people just laugh at. We mean business, and our main goal with the late Vishai was to be a top 6 football team in the Premier League, and we've done exactly that, winning the Premier League, the FA Cup and the Community Shield over the last 5 years. So it's been fantastic business from the owners, and they've stood firm. And they've backed Brendan Rodgers all the way, like any owner should.
Stuff of dreams, that is, Luke. And it sounded like something out of a flipping FIFA career mode for a moment, and the way he was reading off all them trophies.
Yeah,
quick stats on tomorrow. Leicester have won their opening fixture in just one of their last 5 Premier League games, and Wolves haven't lost their opening league game in any of the last 8 campaigns since 2012-13. What's your sort of feelings about that tomorrow then, Jack? It's got a draw written all over it, but I think me and Luke would be happy with a shithouse 0-0 draw tomorrow.
I remember one opening game of the season, we played Wolves in the Premier League not long ago. Me and Luke were talking about it the other day. That was a 0-0 draw. This season, we've got a more stronger and better squad depth as well, so we won't have to worry about who's on the bench and that. We can bring on whoever when we need to. I just think Leicester's going to bide their time tomorrow with Wolves, play that sort of make Wolves come and get the ball and tire Wolves out and then go for the kill.
Obviously, you've just signed Yannick Vestergaard. You've already mentioned you've lost Wesley Fofana. I think Johnny Evans is still out. Is your centre defence where we need to be attacking tomorrow? Is that where you're weak at the moment? Daniel Amate, centre back. Is that right?
No.
No, never read that then.
Maybe you guys written too much into it. Played Manchester City in the Community Shield. I'm not sure. Vestergaard's been training with Leicester over the last few days. Obviously, before being announced as a Leicester City player. Schmeichel's his best friend at the football club. Obviously, Ryan Bertrand knows him well as well.
Go on, do it. Danish friends.
Danish friends. But no, Leicester will want to stay firm tomorrow defensive. Obviously, we've got the Lord Farquhar in Kagalar Soyuncu. He's quite dominant. Ryan Bertrand experience is what we needed. He looks like a very young player compared to the age of 32. I just think Leicester, will want to defend well. I think our weaknesses is set pieces. I think that's where Wolves will aim to score goals tomorrow if they can't get past our defence.
So, obviously, Luke, what's your feelings in regards to where Wolves will set up tomorrow? I've been told it's a back five. It looks like it's going to be a back five. You got Adama and Trinko on the wings. Jack just mentioned about Ryan Bertrand being experienced. I think Adama was more likely to go up against Ricardo Pereira on the left. What do you reckon?
I think they'll be pretty interchangeable, Trinko and Traore. But I'm just looking forward to it. I really am looking forward to it. I want to see, because I haven't watched any pre-season. I might have watched 10 minutes when we played, was it Real Betis in Marbella? I haven't watched any. I've seen the highlights, but you can't really take much from that. So I'm just really excited to see how we look under Bruno in a competitive fixture. If we line up with three at the back or back five, however we want to term it, then so be it. Just as long as I just want to see us being a bit more aggressive out of possession, like high press, fast transitions. I feel like under Nuno at times we was just too slow when we won the ball back. But you got players like Trinko, Jimenez, and Traore as your front three. You should always be dangerous. So even if we go tomorrow and we lose 2-0, because Leicester are a good team, 2 top 5 finishes in the last 2 seasons. So it'd be no disgrace as long as the performance is good and we can take some positives away from it and say, okay, we might have lost the game today. We might lose against Tottenham and Man United at home in the next 2. But we can sort of see what Bruno's trying to do with this squad of players. That's what I'm hoping to take from the game tomorrow. Obviously, I'd love 3 points, but...
Yeah, I think we'd both enjoy a shithouse 0-0 tomorrow. I think Jack mentioned just about the 0-0. We are due a bit of luck on our side because of that 0-0 when Dendoncker scored, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'd due a bit of luck.
Yeah.
I think we all know the answer to a degree. Apart from Adama, Jack, who are you fearing in our squad tomorrow?
Like I said to Luke, Neves from distance, don't give him any sort of space or anything like that because he's going to try and pot one from distance. Last season, he tried it and Schmeichel saved it. But he's very threatening from distance. Neves, he's no shy of goal from distance. He scored some cracking goals over the last few seasons for Wolves. Trincao, Leicester was linked with him this summer from Barcelona. Wolves obviously got there first. He decided that Wolves were his destination. Quite a lot of the Portuguese players play for Wolves, don't they? They tried getting Ronaldo because he was Portuguese, but it was never really going to happen, was it? Obviously,
They tried to
Ronaldo.
get Eusebio as well at one point.
Yeah, we couldn't guarantee Cristiano would come because Fabio Silva's in front of him at the moment.
But no, Wolves have got quite a good team. Some great Portuguese players. Experience in João Moutinho. He's been around the leagues quite a lot, so he's helping them young boys out at Wolves.
So, as a Leicester fan, like looking at the game tomorrow, do you look at Wolves coming to Leicester as one of those games where you're like, yeah, 3 points this is, or do you look at it like one of those tricky games where if you're not on it, we could nick something?
Like I say, don't underestimate the opposition. Every game's tricky in the Premier League. You should never go into a game thinking it's going to be an easy 3 points. Every game's difficult when you go home and away to these teams in the Premier League because everyone wants to win. You've got to win the hard way, not the easy way. And I think that's how the Premier League is. It's a very difficult league and the best league in the world for it. It's fast-paced and, never underestimate the opposition because you don't know what's around the corner if you do that. Wolves will obviously want to come tomorrow and sit behind the ball and let Leicester come at them. Like you said, Luke, keeping the ball for the first 15, 20 minutes and tiring us out. But no, I'm expecting a tough game tomorrow. I don't think it'd be any easier. Wolves ain't no pushovers. So it's going to be a tough game, but hopefully Leicester can get the result that we need and then go on to their next game against West Ham away.
Without being disparaging to the likes of Adi Akinbaye, Jamie Scowcroft, Paul Dickov, you've now got Jamie Vardy, Kelechi Iheanacho, and Daka. I forgot his first name. Apologies to that. Who's leading the line for you? Who is your go-to striker at the moment? I saw Iheanacho's been linked to Roma. What's your thoughts on that?
I just think it's to get Chelsea's attention with the Tammy Abraham deal. I think that's why they're using Keller's bait because it's come out quite precisely. And Mourinho wants Kel if the Abraham deal doesn't go through, whether that's to play bait with fishing with Chelsea. I'm not sure, just to get the transfer done more quicker. That's another thing. Kel signed a 3-year contract last season. Does he want to leave Leicester? I'm not really sure, but I really hope he stays because we need this striking strength and depth right now. Obviously, Vardy, experienced as he is, loves a goal against any team. People are going to go about Jamie Vardy's age at the age of 34 and say, you know what, he's finished. But he isn't. He offers quite a lot to his game, which teams didn't realise last season. The assists for Kelechi Iheanacho and the goals that Kel scored are all down to Vardy. Patson Daka, I can't see him starting. I think they'll start with Vardy and then bring Daka on for the pace and finish Wolves off if they needed necessary.
I think, if I'm right, Wolves have played Jamie Vardy about 6 times now, and he's got the same amount of red cards that he has got goals against us. So I'm tempting fate saying that we're going to pocket him again tomorrow. But can I just put a question to you, Luke? Because we just mentioned the 2 players there, Tammy Abraham and Kelechi Iheanacho. Who would you want out of those 2?
I'd probably take Tammy, to be fair. I do like him. I think he's been a bit unlucky at Chelsea last season. I think he was shit on a little bit, if I'm being honest. I think he gets goals. He gets goals, a good goal scorer. He's still young as well. How old is Abraham? About 23.
Still young, ain't he?
So he's got plenty of years left in the legs.
Apparently Tuchel hasn't taken to him because he was doing knee slide celebrations in training and he thought he was immature. He wanted a proper striker who was just score the goal, back again, score another. But apparently,
man, I don't care if you're scoring in training or the FA Cup final. Celebrate because surely, if a striker feels the need to celebrate in training, it's because he takes his football so seriously and enjoys the game that much. And me personally, they're the sort of players I'd want playing for my team. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a 5-a-side game or the FA Cup final. He wants to score goals, and as a striker, that's what you want your strikers to do.
Obviously,
if he wants to
sorry,
continue with Werner, then let him crack on. What
Obviously,
does Tuchel know, eh?
Say again?
What does Tuchel know anyway?
What does he know? He's only won a Champions League in 6 months of being a manager. It was all Frank Lampard's foundations.
Exactly.
Obviously, we're young-looking gentlemen. Jack, me and Luke. When were you born, Jack?
97, so late 90s.
So Jack wasn't even born to remember this goal. 95, 96 FA Cup at Molyneux.
Was this a
1, Leicester 0, Don Goodman, frying pan cross, David Kelly. I mean, Luke, what a cup run that was that year.
I was going to say that was about the 5th round of the FA Cup as well, wasn't it?
Yep, Leicester was in the Premier League then. Kevin Poole in goal for Leicester. That's how long ago it was, Jack. I mean, look at the turn here. You can't teach that.
Was that Mark Venus into David Kelly then?
Might have been. I just love Don Goodman's Jerry Curl haircut and the frying pan cross here.
You don't see many diving headers nowadays, do you?
No.
Just the pace that David Kelly had from the halfway line to get there. Good times. That's how far we're going back, Jack. 1995, just to try and remember a good time. We was going to bring the 4-3 when you were 3-0 up at half time, but I know that might still be sore. So let's put it on you quickly. What's your score prediction for tomorrow, Jack?
I'm going to go 2-1 to Leicester. I'm going to go Vardy to score and open his account rather than red card. I remember that red card when Mike Dean sent him off.
Was that because you had Fleetwood in the cup coming up?
No. That was their academy, wasn't it?
Didn't he have like a spell where he always gets suspended so he didn't have to play against Fleetwood in the cup?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, there was something dodgy about Jamie Vardy that he didn't want to play Fleetwood at one point, and he kept on getting suspended.
Neymar with his sister's birthday.
Yeah, it's very similar to that, but for very different reasons. Jack, thanks for coming on tonight. Hopefully, I'll see you from the away end tomorrow, and I'll be flicking V's to you from the away end.
I look forward to it.
Nice one, mate. You take care of yourself, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Cheers, boys. See you
later, Jack. See you in a bit.
Jack there from Leicester Fan TV. Follow them for all your Leicester content. What's your score prediction for tomorrow, Luke? Because it's going to be a tough one, ain't it?
It is, but I was giving it loads on Jack's channel Wednesday, so I've got to carry on. 2-0 Wolves, mate. 2-0 Wolves. Let's just... Do you know what? Like, you know me. You know how negative I was last season in the WhatsApp group. And I've tried to be more positive, and I'm going to try and keep it for as long as possible. So 2-0 Wolves, Jimenez, bullet header, and Traore with a thundercunt from 20 yards.
I'm going to go for 1-0 Wolves tomorrow. I've just summoned some optimism from down there. Don't know what's down there, but I've summoned it up, and I've 1-0 Trinko tomorrow. I don't know what odds you'll get on that, but I'm all about it tomorrow.
And you look at some of the forums online and on social media, and you'd think we were going to get relegated, or we've already been relegated. The way some people are going on. Well, it's a new season, new manager, couple of new players, hopefully more new players to come, and then even with the players we've got. It wasn't too long ago that they finished 7th twice. So let's just, I know it's hard, but let's just try and have a bit of optimism and get behind them, which I know we will. The fans will be brilliant tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to 3,300 Wolves fans travelling west to east tomorrow. And one of those is Wolves supporter and fundraiser. It's Kieran Newey. How you doing, Kieran?
I'm good, man. How are you?
We're all good. We're all optimistic for tomorrow and the rest of the season, which might be blind faith. We'll see. It only seems like yesterday you were doing the fundraiser for the Raul banner. Raul's back tomorrow. What's your feelings for him going to season? Do you think he can break sort of what's he scored the most in a Premier League season? Probably like 15, 16, 17, something like that.
Yeah.
What's your feelings on Jimenez this season?
Do you know what? I was worried for him kind of coming back, and as I think everyone was really around, what he was going to be like in heading a ball and getting on with, actually playing in the rough and tumble. And I think there's still a lot to be seen about the kind of rough and tumble side of it tomorrow. Once we kind of get back into the Premier League, but he's looking positive. It doesn't look like anything's phasing him. He put that picture up on Instagram the other day of him heading the ball, and like I sent it to a few of my mates, and they were like, "Bloody hell, I hope he's all right." But it just proves that he's just getting on with it. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's actually what he needs, just to get straight back into it, and to get involved. It's obviously not phased him too much, which is great to see. I just can't wait to get back to the football, to be honest.
We're probably more worried about Jimenez than Jimenez is worried about Jimenez.
Absolutely.
He's probably one of them. He'll be fine, man. He'll be fine.
That particular picture you referenced there, Kieran, how far the actual ball's in his head, because his head really that hard. I was just like, if that's and the captain saying, "I'm ready." There wasn't anything more you could have wanted as a Wolves fan from him. And that one particular challenge he did on the Celta Vigo defender on Saturday completely wiped the defender. I'm thinking, it's like what Luke just said there. We're more worried than what he is. I think any Wolves fan would be daft. Right. And we've got a competition on our Twitter page at the moment. If you retweet the post and follow Wolves Fancast. If Raul Jimenez scores tomorrow, we'll randomly pick a winner to win a new home or away shirt of their choice. So get on our Twitter page and get involved on that. What's your score prediction for tomorrow, Kieran?
Oh, mate, don't ask me that.
I hate being asked what just to predict Wolves because I hate to predict just to win. But I'm putting it on now.
Yeah, that's fine. Like I'm in a Super Six league with the lads and stuff, and we're on it tomorrow. And I hate seeing us on there because I always put us down for a win. I've got us down on there 3-2 winners. However, like my heart is telling me that we'll get a bit of a slap in tomorrow. I hope not. Like I hope not, and I hope we're ready. And Bruno seems really positive. I loved what he said earlier on. In his pre-match about needing to get players in, that he trusts the board, and ultimately, I guess we should as well. Really, they haven't really let us down over the last 4 years. If you look at it from a really positive outlook, I know Luke knows exactly what I actually think about what they've done and how we could have done better. But yeah, my head's telling me that that we're going to get a slap in my heart saying we'll win, obviously. But it's just going to be great to be back with 3,300 fans in Leicester. And I mean, I've been watching the Brentford game, and it for a Tin Pot Stadium, it's rocking there, to be honest. And
I think you can see the difference. I watched Bournemouth Albion last week, and it just felt like a completely different game of football with the fans being there and there being sort of a semi-atmosphere, let's say, with Bournemouth v Albion. But it just felt like a completely different game. Like it felt a lot more immersive. Even the players seemed more sort of, I don't know, like an extra 20% was coming out of every player.
I think we were saying it when it all happened, and they first got football back, and it was really quiet in the stadium. You could hear a pin drop. You heard everything that the players were doing, and it was all right. It was a novelty, but now we've seen fans back over the Euros, and it's just given everyone that taste for getting football back. We just need to get back to normality now, and I think the players live off it. They thrive off that noise, and football. It's the massive cliche that people say all the time. Football without fans is literally nothing. There's no point. So yeah, buzzing for tomorrow.
Nice one, Kieran. Thanks for popping on. I'll be seeing you pre-match, hopefully, for some alcoholic beverages.
Absolutely. Let me know where you're going to be. See you tomorrow.
Cheers, Kieran. See you later.
See you later, okay. See you in a bit, mate.
Right, now I've got... There, mate.
3,300. No, that's a good following, that is, ain't it?
It is, yeah. We've got with us now Zach, who's the... Once he clicks on, there he is. Zach, how you doing?
You all right, lads?
You're right, mate.
This is Zach from South Bank Wolves on Instagram. I think he's going to be starting a YouTube channel soon.
Yeah, just started.
What's your feelings going into the game tomorrow, Zach? I know we've had a few conversations on Twitter about recruitment and lack of it. Leicester signed Vestergaard today. I know you were disappointed in that.
Yeah, I was disappointed because I thought, even though, as we said before, he wasn't going to be the style of defender that we were going to be having to look for in the future, but for the now, I thought he was perfect because the squad we've got, it's not big enough to how Bruno wants to play. It's more of a make-do. I think attacking-wise, we've got enough to challenge anybody, but behind that, that's where we're lacking, and that's where I'm concerned for this season going forward.
We've all said the word concern in regards to this season, but how deep does that concern go with you? Do you think there's a chance we can flirt with relegation?
No, I think the concern is not challenging again. It's where we want to be. So we've been challenging for Europe. Not last season, but obviously the season before and the season before that. And we've had a taste of what we want. And now that we have a lack of that, it's looking at us being a steady Eddie in the middle. It's not appealing to what the fan base has now got used to, so to say. The ambition seems to have stopped, and I think that's annoyed a lot of people as well. But we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but we can only see what's happening, what we all see. So yeah, I just think The concern is not relegation; it's just not challenging.
I think the frustrating thing is we put ourselves in such a good position with the 2 seventh place finishes, and then it's like we've just thrown it away and we've taken 2 steps backwards. I think that was more my frustration last season, that we've just seemed to have wasted such a good opportunity. We got ourselves in such a positive position, and then we just stalled. But like I mentioned about 10 or 15 minutes ago, still got the core of those players that got those 2 seventh place finishes. So, we've just a couple of bit of fine tuning, a bit of tweaking. What's to say? We can't push there again. I mean, who was in those positions last season? West Ham finished 6th, did they? Who finished 7th? Wasn't Everton, was it? No, Tottenham. Leeds finished 9th in the end. Villa was up there. And I don't give a fuck what anyone says. There's no way we've got to be looking at teams like, and with no disrespect, because I know this can go fucking pear-shaped for me now, but like Villa, Leeds, West Ham, Everton, we shouldn't be looking at them and thinking, fuck me, they're miles ahead of us, because they're not. They're not. So, and I know we're all sort of thinking, at the back end of last season, are we going to have a repeat again and be down the bottom half of the table? But just as easily in this league, we could be near the top. Not the top, but, the best of the rest, let's say, outside the top 6. Because we can't be looking at teams like, I don't know, West Ham was fantastic last season, there really was. But how many teams have a fantastic season and then the next season, they don't do so well?
I've made the point numerous times in our WhatsApp group about crowd atmosphere and how certain teams have handled it. I thought we massively struggled without backing last season. I'd be interested to see how teams like Man United, West Ham, and particularly Arsenal do this season with fans back in the ground, because I think it could get even worse for Arsenal this season with fans in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I mentioned to Jack, I mean, it was more tongue-in-cheek than anything, but he said, how do you think you're going to get on against Leicester? And I said, well, with fans back in the ground, when we've popped you off the park for the first 15 minutes and you can't get near us, your fans will be on the back of the Leicester players, and that could play into our hands then. And I know we've had loads of conversations last season, and light-heartedly we've taken the piss about the fans in the ground and sucking the ball in, the South Bank sucking the ball into the back of the net and all this. But you know what, Dan? Thinking about it now, I think you made a really valid point.
I'm not saying there's like some sort of, there is a 12th man to a degree, but I think with certain players, with an atmosphere like the way we can drum it up at Molineux, certain players are more switched on.
Mm.
I think you Neves and Martinez, they raise the games when the fans are properly on at it, and I think last season that went completely against us.
I think it will help you in, say, obviously it's not going to help you every single game, every single home game.
That's not my point.
I think when you look at the games like when we played Man City and we won 3-2, we wouldn't have won that game behind closed doors, in my opinion.
No.
I think the fans actually won us that game.
But I also believe last season, when we pulled it back to 2-1 against Man City, we would have nicked a draw that night if we had a crowd in.
Possibly. You can't really argue for or against it with too much sort of strength, can you? Because both sides have got a really valid argument and valid points.
Are you making the journey to East Midlands tomorrow, Zach?
No, unfortunately, I'm not. I couldn't get a ticket. So, yeah, I'll have to try and find a link somewhere.
Find a stream like Luke will be doing, I imagine.
Yeah.
Huge goal.
I think we could get something tomorrow. We have got the attacking power to hurt teams, any team in the division. And when we've got Neto and Podence back, because people forget, before Podence got injured, he was looking like a really good player. And if you've got those two as well challenging for a first team place, along with Trincao, Adama, Raul, and even Fabio, there's goals in that team. And if Bruno can get the best out of Neves, his creativity, and even Moutinho, because Moutinho proved it in the Euros that he's got a creative spell within him that we clearly haven't unleashed. There's goals. It's just behind that is where we're weakest. So it might be a case this season we've got to try and outscore the opposition, which that was never a Nuno style of play. And that's probably why we struggled last season, because I think we had less goals than actual games, didn't we, last season?
I think even if we was to finish, say, 14th this season, but we played how you've just described, and we score some fucking goals. I think every season under Nuno, we've struggled to score goals, and I think it feels like we've been deprived of
Entertainment.
that. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously, there's some fantastic games under Nuno. Let's not, I'm not trying to say that every single game was shit. But how many games did we watch, especially last season? And you're just sitting there, and you're like, "This is really bad."
I think
Like, what must neutrals have thought of us last season?
I think the biggest gripe within the fan base, from what I was reading on Twitter and on the Instagram page, was we just weren't having a go. We were just going there just to see if we could obviously try and nick a win on the break or go for a point. And I think the worst one was the Man City game. I don't think that first half against Man City, granted they were the best team in the league, but we didn't even look like we wanted to get even in their half, yet alone have a go. And that was the biggest gripe, even against no disrespect to the lower league sides in the Premier League, but we were scared to attack them as well. And I think that's why there was this massive frustration within the fan base. And I think that's what's making everyone feel a bit apprehensive this season, because they don't want the same. But we've got to give Bruno a chance. He's got to slowly bring his style in, because he isn't going to be able to do it straight away. And we've just got to ride with the times, I guess.
Totally agree. A big concern of mine is we could quite easily lose our first 3 games, and what are the fans then going to be saying about Bruno? Because you know what we're like. You know what Wolves fans are like. We'll be played 3, won none, drew none, lost 3, scored 1, conceded 5, and they'll be calling for his head.
Yeah, and that's the last thing you want.
But we've just got to be patient. At least give him at least fucking 15 games before you make a solid judgment.
You've got to give him at least till the end of the transfer window. Fosun have got to back him.
This is
They've got to back him this month. Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, it's stupid because he ain't going to walk away. But if they don't back him this summer in an unrealistic world, he'd walk out of principle.
I think that's the odd thing for me. Like with the window and bringing in a new manager, they clearly had an idea that Bruno Lage was going to be the new man in charge. I understand that they've come out and said that they're going to leave the transfer business to late in August. But in my opinion, surely they should be wanting to get it done as soon as possible. If you bring in a new regime with new players that he wants to fit into the club, you want to embed them as quick as possible. And is leaving it too late going to be an issue going forward?
I think you have to look at it from another point of view, Zach, especially with the transition of new manager. Recruitment would have been difficult whilst the Euros were going on, because agents wouldn't want to let their players go because they can bump the wages up after a good Euros. So like what I said earlier on in the episode, I think Wolves will be looking at teams in and around us and seeing what fringe players might be able to be poached to join our starting 11. I think it's a bit difficult with recruitment, isn't it? Like a Football Manager where you can just approach to sign, and it's done in 10 clicks.
Yeah.
Well, how long's Coutinho been in the mount for?
He loves the breakfasts. What's your score prediction for tomorrow, Zach?
Oh, it's a head versus heart one. I think the head is saying 2-1 Leicester, but heart 2-1 Wolves. I don't think it'll be a draw. We've had too many draws against them. I really hope we get off to a good start, but yeah, it's going to be a case of outscoring them at their place. I think that's the only way we're going to beat them. So we've got to be adventurous. Otherwise, if we sit back, I think we'll get punished, especially with the same back three that we're used to.
And what's your sort of mindset, if I'm going to put you on the spot now, where we're finishing in the league this season?
It depends on a few factors. Right now, I would probably say 10th. I think smack bang in the middle. I think we'd all be happy. I think a lot of people would snap around off for that position right now. But it depends who we sign. If we make some good signings before the end of the window, even in January, if we make some good signings in January, which we don't usually do, but who knows? I'm one of them.
Right. And I think we'll call it there for a night, gents. Thanks for those who have watched, commented, liked, commented, and subscribed. Thanks again to 9 Minute Network, Wolverhampton Eton, the Sports Shop Kings Winford. Friend of the Fancast, Alex Home, is playing a gig at New Hampton Arts Centre tomorrow night. Tickets are still available. And to play us out with his new single, it's Alex Home with Joy.
same place, same job, different day, getting line and daydream. There must be something for me, I just keep sinking. I just keep thinking, cause I feel caught up in and you're kinda low, like I'm losing my mind and I'm losing control. There's gotta be something somewhere, there's gotta be something out there in a world that feels so great. You light the sky, you pay in the day.